At long last, you've requested it, and now we're doing it. We're talking about The Walking Dead issue 193, a.k.a. the last issue of The Walking Dead ever. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we are the Podcasting Dead. We apologize for this being so late. We were going to do it the week that came out, which was, what, about 2 weeks ago?
I think so, man. Shoot, I'm still digesting it.
Right, but there were reasons. I think it was a busy week. There was some reason why we couldn't get to it the next day and do a podcast, and we figured, well, by that point, everybody else had covered it. So,
and last week we even had a podcast go out a little late. Something wacky was happening, but...
Yeah, with our work schedule, sometimes it can get out of whack. But if enough people sign up for the Patreon, this can become our work, and then we don't have to ever worry about that. But we're going to talk about it because we have awesome listeners, and we wouldn't imagine anybody would really care to hear our opinion on it, but apparently a lot of you do. So here we go. We're going to talk about the last issue of The Walking Dead. It's a touchy subject on top of that. Like JP said, man, we're still kind of recovering because we didn't really expect it or see it coming. And then I never expected until JP told me, that Monday? Like a week before that, I never imagined that the next episode of next issue of The Walking Dead I got would be the last one.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I hate spoilers, and I just went on my comic app that tells you, what's on the hot list this week, what you definitely want to pick up, and it said surprise finale to The Walking Dead, and I was just like, huh?
Right. Huh? Surprise? It's not a surprise. It's a shock.
Yeah. So I, that ruined it right there, but.
Ruined my whole damn week.
That being said, though, man, I hate that it was spoiled, but I do, looking back on it, man, the whole thing of The Walking Dead is, from day one, you never knew who was going to die, when they were going to die, what was going to happen, and I like the idea that, the series got killed, and we had no idea it was coming, just like when Tyrese got his head cut off,
Right. Well, Robert Kirkman I had to go to Twitter to basically be like, hey, or social media. I don't know if he went to Twitter. I can't remember what social media he posted it on. But he said, like, hey, if details about this issue are probably going to leak pretty soon. So if you don't want to see them, be very careful online for the next few days. And it was just unavoidable at that point. Once the internet gets a hold of something and that ball starts rolling down the hill, you're not going to stop it.
No.
But The Walking Dead is over, and I'm going to go out the gate, and we're going to get into this review, but I'm going to go out the gate and say that I actually like the last issue. JP, give your opinion, then we're going to say something, and then we'll start with it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it was really well written. It was a nice, well-rounded, finale. With The Walking Dead, you kind of expect it maybe to be like a darker, bleaker sort of ending. But that being said, I was satisfied by the time the last page was turned.
I like the idea of his original ending, actually, which we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But before we begin, as we said, I'm Justin. He's JP. If you're new to the podcast, well, please stick around. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And we podcast about a lot of different things, not just comics and The Walking Dead, though they're a big part of it. We have Trending Tuesday, which we released earlier. It should be up now. We have Woke Wednesday, where we talk about conspiracies and things like that. We have all kinds of different podcasts. We talk about movies sometimes. So consider subscribing. Definitely give the video a like, or the I forget now. We're on SoundCloud and other stuff. So give the video or the audio a like. That helps with the algorithm so that other people will see it. And also consider supporting the Patreon. I hate to sound like a preacher preaching the importance of donating on a Sunday service, but every little bit helps because every penny is going to, A, give us stuff to give you, and B, improve the podcast. Not one bit of our money have we pulled off Patreon yet. We want to get cameras. We want to get merch. We want to make this into a video podcast that is much higher quality than what we're working with now. So consider just patreon.com/the podcasting dead, or there should be a link in the description, but sometimes that can be sketchy. So if that doesn't work, just go to Patreon, search the podcasting dead. I think we're the only thing you'll find. And if you want, and if you don't, it's okay. We still love you, and we're so glad to have you here. But for those that want to help support the channel and people been requesting video podcasts for a hot minute. So for those, if you want a video podcast, every little bit helps.
That's right. The Lord needs your dollars. Put in $1, put in $5.
Preach it, brother.
That's right. An uncommon seed reaps an uncommon harvest.
Woo!
I never thought of it. Maybe we should approach it like evangelicals.
Keep going, man. Hot damn.
Woo-wee.
You said you thought about being a preacher at one point, didn't
I'm
you?
still thinking about it, brother. There's a lot of money to be made in that. So I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I love Michael Murdoch.
I don't know that your heart's in the right place.
An
but
uncommon seed reaps an uncommon harvest. Dig deep. Dig deep.
But anyways, without further ado, just had to say that. Check out the Patreon. Give the video a like. Just want to get those messages.
You also get exclusive
out.
content.
Yeah, exclusive content. And we're going to have a pretty sweet giveaway once we reach up to 20 patrons. So
that's right.
And even if you do a one-time donation of $1, guess what? You're entered to win.
That's
right. The first 20. But you came here to hear us talk about the last issue of The Walking Dead, so let's do it. So number one, you know that we both enjoyed the issue. I'm not going to lie. I'm not happy with the circumstances. I'm not happy that it ended on such short notice or that it ended at all. But with that said, I thought it was a good wrap-up.
Yeah, same here, man. It was very well-rounded. We got all our loose ends tied up. You know, some characters ended up being a little bit or not exactly the way you expected to find them. But
I would have liked to have seen Negan out and about.
I would have liked to have seen that as well. And we'll actually, I told you, man, I'd love to see him go back and do some stories just in that time jump they did. You know, maybe Negan had to go on some crazy adventure.
And that might happen. There's still money to be made on The Walking Dead. And damn it, if they can, they're going to make it. I wonder how this is going to affect the TV show. Like, I don't think they'll end the TV show necessarily now, because of that. But I do think that eventually it's like the TV show always kind of had the comic to fall back on. And the Walking Dead universe, if anything else, knew that it had a big comic following, and now that's gone. So it's like a lot of pressure on the show. Like, you're carrying the Walking Dead universe now. So you got to continue to get it right. And I say continue because I don't care what anybody says. Season 9 was awesome.
Yeah, man, same here.
I do miss my boy Rick. I'm not going to lie. I think that taking him out sucks, but it did allow Daryl to become a character that I like again. But
yeah, I think he'll be back. But what do you think about Carl and Sophia ending up together?
That's interesting. I would have liked some story, though. Him and Lydia seemed good, right? Or did I forget something? Was there ever a point where they were on the rocks? I mean, I feel like they were good when we left them as kids. So what made them break up?
I don't know.
I know they had their banter, which I'm going to say Sophia's girlfriend of the year, and keep in mind, this has been like 2 weeks. I really wanted to go back and reread it before we did this. So, JP, you correct me whenever I'm wrong. But did Sophia know he was going on the road with Lydia?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, because
she's got. I mean, it seems like this is a pretty established thing. They're runners out there, and she's with somebody. He's got his family, but man, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I would have been getting that butt in that tent on that.
She was tempting him, man. She was tempting him.
Yeah, and she can say she was just kidding, man. But
she
Lydia
won't.
Is a wild thing, man. She wanted to lick some eye socket and.
I want to know why did they break up? But so Sophia gets wife of the year for being that cool. I mean, what girlfriend do you know that would be that cool with letting you go on the road alone with your ex, But, they always alluded to Sophia and Carl. I mean, they had a friendship, but we always felt like there was something there.
I feel like Carl's just such a man of honor. He wouldn't go out there with Lydia without Sophia.
He's a lot like his dad.
Yeah.
He's a lot like his dad. You can see a grown Carl has definitely been he's very much like his dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Old Hershel Jr., on the other hand, not like his dad, not like his namesake, Hershel.
I wasn't happy with that. I mean, it's fine because there are plenty of people I like who are either going to have kids or do have kids that are going to grow up to be pricks, even though they're awesome. So that happens, and that's life. So I'm not saying it was a mistake to write it that way, but I hated that because you're right. Glenn was such a beloved character, and without old Papa Glenn there, he grew up to be a douchebag.
Yeah, man. I could see Maggie being a helicopter mom,
Oh, yeah, just so more. Well, I mean, and luckily Carl didn't end up that way because Rick was a very similar dad. I mean, yes, he made a lot of hard decisions that were ultimately for his son, but, like in the show especially, Rick's always running off and leaving Carl and yada, yada, yada. But, luckily he didn't. I mean, I could see, and it was a much longer span of her being gone versus Rick being. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, imagine living in that world, man. Hershel Jr.'s got his little traveling road show with the zombies in the wagon. But I mean, imagine growing up in that world and having never seen like the undead, you know,
right?
Except for like in a thing like that, it's like us going and seeing Shamu or something. It's just it's wild. It's crazy.
Well, and because what was it he said to him? He tried to tell him something about that, you know, try to say something about the zombies helped him feel closer to his dad or something.
Yeah, and that he feels like people seeing them, it reminds them that they still should be afraid and not having it around them all the time. But if anything, man, I think it just kind of, I don't know, takes the bite out of it, man. Just kind of takes the, you know, I mean.
Right. What's crazy is that people were selling this thing in comic shops for like $20 a pop the day it came out.
Oh, dude, it's on eBay right now going for between like $20 and $40 for sure.
I mean, like I could see now, but I mean, I think I'd be pretty. I mean, granted, I don't know. Like if you have a pull list, you know, and the comic shop owner was like, anybody that has this on their pull list, you get it at regular price. But all the extras I'm putting on the shelf for $20. It's a little greedy, but I feel you. Make some money, man. But as long as if I would have had a box, though, and I would have came in and they would have been like, you know, all right, it's $20 for the wall. What?
Yeah, the posts I saw, like the pull list people were getting it for cover, but I think they were just like everyone else who doesn't get it on the monthly basis just going to come in here and grab as many as they can for the spec value.
Well, we have a mutual friend who was like, you remember? He was like, are there any more over there?
Yeah.
A lot of people that were just like wanting to go get it because it was the last issue and they knew it might be worth money one day or it's just a special issue. And so, you know, I can't blame somebody for hustling and you know, man. I mean, you know, I understand why there would be animosity to that, but I totally understand why you would do that.
Yeah, there's actually somebody at our comic shop. I haven't met them, but they buy 4 issues of The Walking Dead every single month. One to read and the other 3 to sell online because, I mean, Walking Dead, it's one of the few books that does hold its value. I mean, some of them you can get $10 for, but I mean, very few comics nowadays actually hold their value and go up from there. So
that's so, man, and we didn't even talk about the fact that Sophia and Carl's daughter's name is Andrea.
Yeah, man, it seems to be a running theme. Just, you know, getting names,
recycling
the
names of the heroes.
Yeah. From the trials.
And I mean, how about we were just talking about Hershel? How about Carl greets him with just a punch to the face?
Yeah.
And Hershel Jr. was being so welcoming too. Carl, I didn't know you were in town. I'll give you free tickets. Whap.
Yeah, and how do you just lose track of a zombie? You know what I mean?
I feel like that should have been something that he should have been in court for.
Yeah.
Kind of like if a circus just lost a wild animal like a tiger or a lion. I mean, especially if it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they could get in trouble for that, lose their life, you know, something. I feel like there's some repercussion for letting a wild predator loose.
When your mom's the president, I guess you kind of get carte blanche. But at the very least, he could have pulled their teeth out or something. You know
that's
what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's
Put
smart.
Muzzles on them. I don't know, but I mean, there definitely should have been some safety protocols in place.
And then the fact that he lost one and Carl killed it. It was on like Carl's property, right? Mm-hmm. So. Your property was on my property, so, you know, I killed it.
Yeah, and your property could, you know, like eat my kid, so there's that. So, yeah, Hershel Jr. is a real piece of work.
How about Sheriff Kapoor? Now, Sheriff Kapoor, a lot of folks were saying it looked like they, you know, because what they did, as most listening probably know, is they released these fake covers for issues 194 and 195, and one of them had Sheriff Kapoor on it, which just looked like an African-American version of Rick, more or less. And we were like, so is he killing Rick? And then, like, a lot of us were wondering, like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, is this a new sheriff that just happens to look a lot like Rick?
Yeah.
Or, you know, what's going on? But, of course, you know, once we found out Sheriff Kapoor, and we joked and said, I wonder if he's related to Kelly Kapoor from The Office.
Yeah,
Maybe they share the same universe. But, yeah, he seemed like a nice guy, you know. And, of course, Carl, everybody, I do love how much we heard about Rick, though. You know what I mean? Rick's name was brought up a lot through the comic.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's wild. Can you believe Maggie, like, going and basically sentencing Carl to go out and get a new walker for Hershel Jr., man? Like, after everything Maggie's seen, just, you know, just go round up a walker and bring him. I'm saying walker as if it's the TV show. I know it's a roamer.
Roamer.
Yeah, roamers and what was the...
They've called them biters before. I know the governor in the show did, but I thought the comic called them biters, too.
Yeah, well, I remember... Like there was roamers and lurkers or something like that.
Lurkers, yeah.
Because there would be zombies that were just happy to just kind of chill unless introduced to some kind of stimuli. And then there was zombies that would just be constantly roaming around,
Yep. But they, let me see. Let me turn my mic right here. Okay, because But yeah, so I mean, you've got, I thought that was kind of crappy of Maggie, to be honest. Go. I would have been like, well, you know what, Hershel, keep up with your property better. You know what I mean? You've got a dangerous thing. It's not an animal, but essentially you have what's the equivalent to a dangerous animal, and you lose track of it. You were irresponsible. It could have bit someone. We could have had a whole new outbreak. So you know what, Carl? As long as Carl didn't, which then Carl went into the cages and killed all of them.
Yeah.
But if this in that first scenario, I would have been like, no, your property. You were irresponsible. Even if I was them kids, if I was Maggie, I would have said you lost your property. It dangerously wandered onto Carl's, could have killed Carl, Andrea, or Sophia, who should all mean a lot to Maggie. Yeah. Because Maggie kind of adopted Sophia, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she was like her mom, and she called her mom. So it's like, you could have killed your sister. So, this is on you for being irresponsible with your property. Now, once Carl went in there and killed all of them, then I get it. But
yeah, man, that was really satisfying, though, just Sophia putting Maggie in check. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Just being like, you never drew a hard line with that kid, and I'm not the only one who thinks so, and you're going to end up with another freaking Sebastian on your hands. Or not another one, but, he's going to be the next one.
And we saw him still sitting in jail, right?
Yeah, man, just chilling in jail with old Pamela, just kind of sitting there next to him, knitting some socks, maybe.
Now, was she in jail? She wasn't in jail.
No, she was just
there
with
visiting with him.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, forgive me for the things I don't know. Number one, this series is long. I've been reading it for a very long time, and I have not. JP and I had a cool idea. We're going to mention it here at the end of the podcast about keeping The Walking Dead alive in a way, but we want to see what you think. If it's not something that people are going to listen to or that people are interested in, then we're just not going to waste the time to do it. But it is something cool for those of you like us that just can't quite accept that The Walking Dead is over with. Yeah. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But moving along, I'm looking through here with the the order of the comic, trying to stay somewhat in order, but I don't know, man. Carl, how bad? I mean, but you know what I do like you said, this was a very well written issue because Carl wouldn't be Carl if he didn't go destroy that whole caravan of walkers. That is totally a Carl thing to do. Like he gets, he's like, just bring him another one, and then what does he do? He goes in there and absolutely just annihilates all of them.
Which you do have to respect Hershel Jr. as an entrepreneur. He says, I built this business from the ground up. I mean, who knows, what kind of money he's raking in. Maybe he's got, like different wagon shows all over the place.
Well, you saw Hershel being like a little schnit, too, with the hotel person when they're like, you have to pay before you leave. And Hershel Jr. is just like, oh, my family's good for it. Mm-hmm. My mom's president. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
And, just a little douche. But, yeah, I was very sad when we, you had then Carl met up with Lydia, knowing what he had done. And, I got to get this all done because I'm probably about to be in a lot of trouble. I knew, too, when we got to the point, not to jump too far ahead, but I knew when they were talking about, taking it to court and whatever, I knew that Michonne was going to be the judge. I just knew that. I was like, oh, Michonne's going to be the judge. And there is no way Michonne is going to, do wrong by Carl. Because Carl hasn't, get out of here. But, and I mean, I just, my big question is, okay, I know that they say, when he killed it, what did she say? They hadn't seen a walker in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And like JP said, forgive me for constantly saying walker, but it comes out easier than roamer or lurker or whatever. But, so obviously, I guess people still turn when they die, though, right?
I would think so. I mean, it's not like the plague has just disappeared.
So I'm wondering if it's just kind of like at the prison in the Walking Dead show, more or less, if you're in the hospital dying, then basically, as you're getting towards the end or once you do die, they just come in, the family leaves, and they stab you in the head and just stop it from happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
They must be on top of that. What about accidents, though? I mean, has anybody not fallen off a ladder and died alone and then come back and killed someone.
You know what I would have liked to have seen? You saw Carl and Sophia earlier on having dinner with the what's the blacksmith's name? I forget his name.
Oh, Earl Sutton.
Yeah. I mean, he's starting to suffer from dementia. He's old. He's living by himself. It would have been great to see Carl go back to check on him, and Earl's died and turned, and he's coming at Carl.
Yeah, that would have been cool, man.
And like Carl could have had the choice. Well, I could just give him this walker as a replacement. Or I could put
what a moral conundrum there, man. I love it.
And like
God,
Sophia
we should write comics.
Yeah, man. Sophia could have even been like, it's an awful thing, but just to get us out of this
is a second chance. Maybe this happened for a reason. You know? God, that's good. That is such a good scenario, man. I'm very impressed. Like I just love good moral conundrums in stories, like things that really make you think, like, is this right or wrong? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times shows will be like, they'll try, or shows or stories will try to make something seem like it's a hard choice, but you're like, it's not a hard choice, you know? That is a hard choice.
Honestly, man, like as good as the last issue was, and as happy I am with like how they wrapped it up, you almost wish they had just spent the last issues from 193 to 200 just in this, you know, like 20-year later universe or whatever, you know?
Right.
Just keep us in the future just for those last 7 issues. But
you wish we would have had more time there.
Yeah.
Just more time to get the lay of the land.
Hit an even 200, you know. But
that's what I would have. I told my girlfriend, maybe it's just because I'm OCD, but I would have definitely, like, if I was Robert Kirkman.
8 issues.
Right. I would have tried to have ended it at 200, but that's because I'm a little bit more OCD. But I guess that would have been a little bit. Some people probably would have caught on or started pondering, like, is he going to end it with 200?
Yeah, like I said, I really do. Looking back, I like that he just ended it out of nowhere.
Oh, I do too. Like, we were both very pissed the day it happened. But it's because we love it. It's because it's something we love. And that's a testament to how good the series. It's something that we love, and it's like we lost a friend. But, you know, at the end of the day, looking back, that is true Walking Dead fashion. Like, just, you know, people in the comics don't die like they do in the show necessarily. A lot of times in the comics, a lot of characters just, they die. You know what I mean? There's no big build-up, no huge redemption arc where you can tell. Like, I mean, look at it, like Abraham. He's just sitting there in the middle of dialogue, and boom, an arrow bolt hits him right in the back of the head, you know? So it's like...
That's how they took out The Walking Dead, just out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, so hopefully they won't do that on the TV show, though. Like, they just stop, like, episode 6 of next season.
Yeah.
Which they kind of, you know... I hate that. I hate leaks, too, man. I hate leaks. Like, and I'm not to get on the show too much. I know I digress a little bit, but... I hate that we knew Rick was going to leave. And I know that... And honestly, in my opinion... I don't know. I feel like they kind of were smart. I've talked to people who said they thought it was really stupid that they jumped ahead of it and were like, Rick Grimes, final season or episode. But I feel like, no, they just did. I'm sure. I feel like it was smart because, you know, if it would have just been a rumor, then I feel like a lot of the people that tuned in to see him go wouldn't have tuned in. People that had fallen off the show. I'm sure they had a lot of return viewers who caught up or just came back just to see how Rick would go. But I do hate that we knew that. I would have liked for that to have been a shock. Like I don't think that they should have told people, but I think that once it got out and everyone knew, then it was like, let's just make the best of it. So I do actually, unpopular opinion, think that it was smart of them to do that. But I just wish no one would have ever leaked it because imagine the shock you would have gotten from that.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know, what happened at that last issue kind of gives me an idea for a whole new TV show. You know how Eugene's basically working on like a transcontinental railroad.
Yep.
Which is really cool. Like they could combine The Walking Dead with, remember that show Hell on Wheels? Like it's the race.
I love that show. Did you watch that show?
I didn't watch the last couple of seasons, but I
like that
I watched
show,
most
man.
of it. Yeah, man. But they could just do the same thing, just in the zombie universe. You know?
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And Eugene didn't seem to be in the best of health either.
Nah, man. You know they were kind of making out like maybe he was a hypochondriac, but at the same time, I mean, he's an old cat at this point.
Hell
you know?
yeah.
It's good he's still around and still like being productive, but. You know,
but you know that's the way I want to work until I can't anymore. You know, I mean, retirement sounds cool, but I would get bored unless I was retiring and I could just go off and do crazy stuff.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But then, you know, and then from where we were talking about, you know, the Hershel and going back in the order of things. Then we have Carl meets up with Lydia, and they have to take a detour, and that detour is none other than to see Negan, who I'm very sad that we did not get to see because apparently Carl's dropping off supplies for him.
Yeah, I wish we could have at least seen a little dialogue, like, you know, like through a screen door or something.
Right,
you know?
right.
Kind of similar to when Carl would talk to him through the jail cell.
What breaks my heart, too, is that, like, didn't he just say in one of the letters to the editor, like, hadn't Robert Kirkman just in the last issue say something like Negan's coming back, or we're going to catch up with Negan, or something that we were excited about? We were like, hell yeah, man, because you and I were saying if they were to do like a Negan spinoff, we'd be fine with that.
I think they still should. I mean, we got plenty of years where Negan could have been up to anything.
What if he jumps on like the Marvel train, Old Man Negan?
Yeah, that'd be dope too.
Like, just do a series like continuing past the point of Carl, but it's just Negan. Like, none of our other characters. He's just writing. But he said in the letters to the editor, don't worry, Negan survived. Basically saying, I guess we can assume that Negan lived out his days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that would be cool, though. Just like some families, going cross country, and like a little girl gets kidnapped and taken into like beyond the boundaries of their little country. And
if I was
Negan
writing it, I would pick it
her.
up right after Carl left.
Yeah.
That's where I would pick it up. Like, I would have the series. If I was writing that and I was going to do that, like a... if I was doing an Old Man Negan series, I would start it out from Negan's perspective, and you just hear like Carl talking through the door, basically, or like, whatever, or knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And then you see from there on, it's Negan. Like, you see him get the supplies, and like you said, maybe somebody's going cross country or something, and he ends up jumping on, or something gets him out of the house and he's doing stuff.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine the money that must be getting offered to Robert Kirkman to continue the series in some form or fashion?
Oh, I'm sure. I would not be shocked if something wasn't already in the works.
It could be, man. It could be. Just please keep Charlie Adler on board.
What? You talking about the artist?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm weird, man. Like, I like the Walking Dead art, but I actually kind of sort of really like the first few issues, like that art.
Tony Moore.
I liked it. I thought it was good, man.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't
It was
bad.
a lot more detailed, I felt.
Yeah, I like it. It was a little bit...
Well, I don't know if detailed's the right word, but I just felt like characters had... more unique looking. I don't know. It was more cartoony for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of like that it was like that. And then the further it goes, the darker things get, and the more grittier the art kind of gets.
It's a good way to look at changing artists. You know?
It's almost like as the world changed, the art changed.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, because I don't think that's what they were going for, but that is a cool way to kind of look at it.
I bet Tony Moore kicked himself after he jumped off that, and just. I know he still gets money because he's technically still one of the creators, but.
Yeah, I liked his art, man. And like I said, it was a lot more cartoony, whereas, the art we had for the longest time was more gritty, more, whatever, and it definitely fit with The Walking Dead. But I did kind of like I would love to see him, and I know he's done it on certain things. I would love to see him come, because I think he drew Glenn's death or something. But I would love to see, like, him do some key scenes from the comics, but revise it with his art.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be super cool. More like when you go to a Comic-Con and you get panels from artists, like have him go back and do some panels that were really like Glenn's death / Negan's introduction. The Governor, because he didn't do many issues, right?
No.
It was only the first few before he jumped off, right?
Yeah, man. I think like maybe he's on like that first trade paperback.
So he didn't make it to like the Governor or anything, right?
I don't think
so. It'd been awesome, like to have the scene where the Governor's cutting off Rick's hand, but with his art, Oh man, I'm really sad. If anybody out there, this is desperate, I know, but I'm going to pause for a moment. But we're still talking about the Walking Dead comic. If you remember to celebrate their 15-year anniversary, it was the 15 years, right? Yeah. The Walking Dead released these variant covers, and you know which ones I'm talking about. They had portraits of characters. Well, keep in mind our local comic shop is a very small local comic shop. He gets a lot of stuff, and actually the new owner in the last year has done great. Like, he really has made great strides in getting variants. But the previous owner got variants, but she didn't get any of these Walking Dead variants until like way in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the first one I got was the Alpha variant. But each issue, it was 12, I guess. Each issue had a character. If you have any extras, would you sell me one? Anybody out there in Radioland or whatever, man? I mean, whatever I want. I have Alpha. I pretty much have Alpha on, I believe. But like, I need Andrea, I need Michonne, the Governor, Rick.
I don't think they're going for too much on eBay.
It's only 4 or 5 that I need. I think Michonne, Andrea, the Governor, Rick. And maybe one more. I've got Carl. No, I don't. Maybe I don't have Carl. No, I do have Carl. I have Carl. Because Carl was one of the later ones. But, man, I want those. I still think those are, I tell you, man, aside from the DC deceased variants, the zombie variants. Those are some of my favorites of all time, that they're currently still coming out. But the Walking Dead, those variants are some of my favorite comic variants of all time. I want that whole run of variants.
Yeah. Apparently, Tony Moore hung it up after issue number 6.
I swear to God, I was thinking the first 6 issues.
Yeah, so I think pretty much after Shane bit the dust, he was gone. Like how that first trade paperback ended.
Yeah, like I said, I liked his art, and I like the art that we got now. But I'm just saying, I did actually like his art, and it really didn't occur to me until quite a bit longer. I'm like, wait a minute, something's different. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I didn't really pay attention to the art change. I'm like, man, they're really not doing as much. Oh, it's a different artist. Okay, but so. Let's see. Still checking here. But yeah, we already talked about Eugene. Eugene's just moving right along with his train. That idea started, how old? They never said how old Carl was, right?
Not exactly. I mean, I'm guessing he's maybe somewhere in his 30s, I guess.
I always thought like mid-30s to early 40s.
Yeah, because, they got a young daughter, so,
which the Walking Dead world can wear you down quick, so hell, he might just be in his 20s. Yeah. Which, I don't know.
She would think if him and Sophia got together, they would have had a kid pretty quick. And Andrea's only, 5-ish maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
He could be right around 30,
Yeah.
So how old was he when we, in that 192, would you say?
Wait, say that again? I'm sorry.
How old would you say he was in, issue 192?
I would say 15, 16 maybe, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
The timing's weird because we don't really get any references that I can remember. But let's see here. Let's see. Carl returns to the garden, gives Lydia her cut, and heads back to his house. Andrea, runs over to hug him, but Sophia was not happy when Carl got home from that trip with Lydia and wanted to know why he basically stirred up a hornet's nest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, it's like you got off easy, and then you just went and made it so much worse. But, she said she understood why he did what he did, but, why the hell would you do that? And it was kind of sweet, too, when the guard tells Carl, for the record, I support you. Your dad was a hero. It's like, I'll take the cuffs off. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Carl, he's like, I'll take the cuffs off if you want me to, which I thought that was a really cool sentiment to see how everyone, just has that love for Rick Grimes.
Oh, yeah, man. He's just respected across the board, except for old Dwight's ex-girlfriend. She's still salty as hell.
How about
as an old woman?
How about the fact that we learned Michonne's last name?
Yeah.
Hawthorne.
Yep.
Hawthorne.
Yeah, very classy. Very classy.
I love that we rounded out with most of the characters, too, which I think is so funny. You know what? Here's something that I want to throw out there. If you watch us talk about and I'm going to talk about this on the next Fear the Walking Dead episode review, but it's funny because we know that you pronounce Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight is how you say it, but we say Dwight because we are from the South, so we have some Southern accents that are a little hard to avoid. But I have gotten to the point where I go out of my way to say Dwight because so many people comment, go, it's Dwight, not Dwight.
Yeah.
I know, but now at this point I'm having fun with it. But
okay, according to this, I'm sorry to break in here. That's why I've been Googling. From issue 193, he's between 34 and 39.
Okay,
hey,
we
saying?
Yeah, we said mid to late, mid 30s to
I
early
just
40s.
Once we start speculating, man, I couldn't stop myself.
So he's how old?
According to this, and I don't know that it's a gospel, but it says between 34 and 39.
That's about where we placed him.
Yeah.
So yeah, we guessed good. But yeah, Judge Hawthorne, man, and it was so sweet to see Carl smile at her. But and
Michonne was gonna hold him down.
Oh yeah, and it's so weird too because I'm used to Michonne being like his stepmom from the show, but then I have to remember in the comic there was no relationship there. Michonne and Rick were just very close friends, which Michonne's actions still kind of ultimately led to.
Yeah, man, it was cool. Michonne's talking about trying to outlaw just having walkers. Like domesticate, whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
Having them in general, and that's going to really put a cramp on Hershel Jr.'s business, and it's almost like he would be a lobbyist for, like having walkers as property, and, he's petitioning his mom, the president, to, make it happen. And, man, that is just so much good story left to tell, man. Just like politics in The Walking Dead, you got Michonne, rallying to outlaw him, and then, people lobbying the president through Hershel Jr. to, oh, man.
And I love the backstory we get there on Michonne's last name, too. It was her ex-husband's, and after the divorce, she was going to get rid of it, but that's what everybody knew her as in terms of, like, her law practice, so she just kept it. But during everything else, she never really brought it up or told them that because it was just kind of too painful to bring up. And I love that Carl had her sword because I don't know if you remember, but a year or two ago, there were some gnarly, like, old man Carl theories, and there was some fan art of, like, an old one-eyed Carl, and he had like Rick's revolver, which actually was that's only a show thing. Rick never really had like a signature revolver in the comics, but he had like Rick's revolver, Michonne's sword, and it's cool that in the comic he ended up with Michonne's sword.
Yeah, man.
And that she's so, just away from, she's Judge Hawthorne. She's really not even Michonne anymore. Like she said, when he said, something about a lot of people think it's hard to believe that Judge Hawthorne used to carry a sword. And she's like, well, Judge Hawthorne never did.
Yeah.
Michonne did, kind of like that part of her is gone. And just like the warrior is resting, you know what I mean? Right. I'm getting goosebumps, man. I love
seems like all the warriors. Negan's, found a place of peace or whatever. Well, I guess he's at peace. I don't know, but man, there's just so much story.
After that is the part that we were talking about where Hershel kind of confronts Carl on the way out and says that he isn't some spoiled brat who got whatever he wanted. Like Carl believes that he was, he was like you said, he was an entrepreneur that built a business and provided a service, and said that. Carl, if Carl gets his way, let's see, that people will forget. Like, he basically tried to spin it like, I'm doing this to help people remember. Mm-hmm. You think that people have forgotten and that this is some freak show attraction, but I'm helping keep the fear alive and let people know what once was, yada, yada, yada. Do you think that's a load of bull crap?
I mean, dude, have you ever, like, left the zoo and been, like, more afraid of tigers? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I think that's a bunch of hogwash, but it'd be great, man. Like, say Hershel Jr. is trying to put together a whole, like, carnival of the dead, like an amusement park with zombies and like that. Oh, man, there's just so much you can still do with that.
Yeah, because he's tried to say that, he dated people didn't build statues of his father or write books about him like they did Rick. So, being around walkers and feeling the fear that he felt made him feel like he felt what his father felt and made him feel closer to then he's like, F you for what you did or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm sorry, but that's just not okay. I mean, I would have been, I'm surprised at this point. It's not illegal to bring walkers into a place like, which I guess when you're the president's son, you can get away with stuff like that. But you would have thought they would have made that illegal already.
Oh, dude, I can't help but start like coming up with alternate endings and stuff, man. Oh boy,
it's crazy. Like the kids are making fun of his eye patch, and then one kid's like, "That's Carl Grimes."
Yeah,
watch yourself.
Yeah, man. And like they said, just one more generation, and people have forgot about the trials altogether.
I do like what Carl said about the statue of Rick. About like his chest wasn't that burly, he wasn't that stocky looking, that he felt like his dad did enough and was honestly, he didn't say it, but honestly a badass enough that you don't have to fake a statue to, if anything, that. Because, I mean, it was commented on multiple times by different people that Rick wasn't a big guy. Rick was even in if you read which if you haven't, you really should borrow those from me, the Rise of the Governor books. Mm-hmm. They're so good. They go along with the comic, not the show.
Right.
But it describes, like, and this isn't a big spoiler or anything, because it does, like, the whole first book does not line up. Like, you don't see any comic characters or anything. Mm-hmm. It's just the governor and how he gets to where he is. But then you have the Rise of the Governor, and then you have the Fall of the Governor, Part 1, Part 2. And in one part of the Fall of the Governor, the whole story, after you get the first book focuses on the governor and his family. The second book focuses on the girl that actually killed the governor, the one that killed Lori. Mm-hmm. What was her name? Was it what was the governor's girlfriend's name in the show? Because they gave her the same name
I can't remember,
as this character. Hold on. Hold on.
But so the novels are canon, right?
They're
As far as
canon with the comics,
concerned,
yeah. Crap. Walking Dead season. I bet somebody's screaming. It's so and so. No, it's not. Season 3. No, season 4 characters. I'm going to get this right now because but it focuses on that character. Let's see. What is this girl's name? Why is Madison Clark? She's not in Walking Dead season 4. Get that out of here.
I don't remember her being in there either.
Althea's not. That's get him all crossed up. Lily. Bam. Lily. Okay, Lily is who the books focus on after the first one. The first one follows the governor, and then the second one follows Lily. And she's actually the one who killed Lori, and all of that, which I didn't like. They did change one thing. Like, instead of the governor doing the famous, like, kill them all, he said something else. I'm like, why would you switch that up? But it's cool because I digress. But what happens is it basically describes after the governor's chopped off Rick's hand, and it describes a man like on a stretcher or something they're carrying out. It looks to be, or maybe it's when he walks in, maybe when Glenn, and she's describing the 3 people that walk in. It's like a young, early 20s, late teens Asian man, blah, blah, blah. And when he gets to Rick, it's like, it says something about 170-pound man. So Rick was, and I'm like 180 something. So it's like Rick wasn't a giant guy.
No.
But he was a badass.
Even Negan breaks his balls about it,
Yeah. So it's like I feel like that's the way a lot of statues are. Like George Washington, what do they say? Like, he didn't have as much of a squared off jaw as he liked. So in his statues and paintings, he wanted himself to look a lot more masculine. And that kind of, I see the parallels there.
I heard George Washington had 2 sets of testicles. So divine.
What?
So it's a classic YouTube song, George Washington. Yeah,
oh,
I couldn't help.
You
but throw
showed
it in.
me that. What is that song called?
I think it's just called George Washington. I don't know. He kills the children, but saves the children, but not the British children.
Yeah, you showed me that a while.
Yeah.
I forgot all about
like
that.
Old school YouTube. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, then after that, we go back to the house and, we did see Mercer ended up with Princess, right?
Oh man, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
We saw the character at the end. That was the touching part. Was where we saw. Well, was that Princess? Let me see. We saw that was Princess. Her name was Juanita, but I guess she went by the name Princess. But yeah, like. We saw them walking their dog. We saw Jesus and Aaron do, and it's like we saw Negan out by the grave. It was kind of cool to see all those characters, which we also forgot Dwight's girlfriend. What was his girlfriend?
Yeah. Like I said, she was just salty. The only salty person at Rick. I can't remember her name either, but Dwight told her what time it was, though. You had to enjoy that.
Carl did.
Yeah. Who'd I say?
You said Dwight.
Did I say Dwight? Yeah,
Dwight's dead.
Dwight came back from the dead and was just like, "You shouldn't be so mad at Rick for killing me. What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, Laura was her name, but yeah, and then I love the story he told. I was very okay. So here's the thing. Like they asked George R. R. Martin how Game of Thrones would end, and his response was it's going to be very bittersweet, which I'm thinking the book has a different idea of what bittersweet is than the show, because we all know how that played out. But the thing is that this is what I would describe as a bittersweet ending. This was bittersweet. It would just I loved it. I loved that we saw all the characters. I loved the story he told. I'm not going to lie. It's very few comics have made me feel like I was, reading gets me in my feels, but none have made me feel like I was about to choke up, really. Right. I'm sure it's happened before, but no, it's not an often occurrence, like in the way that, because movies are so many more stimuli. You got like music with it and visuals, and this is, so I don't really get as emotional from, but I'm not going to lie, this last issue almost choked me up a little bit. It was very bittersweet. It was beautiful, to be honest.
It was, man. It was a good ending. I'm not saying that's exactly how I would have ended it, but.
Which brings me to the next point, the way that he said in the letter to the editor, how he was originally going to end it.
Oh, yeah, dude. That was wild.
I thought that was pretty crazy. So basically, we know, Rick, it was going to end, originally his idea was to end it in Alexandria. Rick gets there and he takes over Alexandria, whatever. And it was going to be him giving that speech, and like he puts his arm in the air or something. And then it was just next panel was going to be that, but it was stone, and it was going to slowly pan back. And you would see that was a statue of Rick.
Yeah.
But then you would see a walker go by. Then you would see another one, then more. And you'd realize it's over. Like, You don't know how far in the future this is or what, but obviously Rick had a statue built, but the dead won. The world's, it's over. Like the dead won. Everyone we know is either left or they're dead. It's just very bleak. And I'm not going to say I wouldn't be happy with that either. That would be very Walking Dead fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to happen that early. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have got the Whisperers or Negan or anything.
Yeah.
But.
Which I was a little underwhelmed by the Whisperer War, but with that said, I loved the Whisperers. You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like that. I really can't say I was dissatisfied with anything throughout the season, and maybe that's just throughout the series. But and maybe
I find myself saying new episode all the time instead of new issue.
Maybe that's me looking through rose-colored glasses. Nonetheless,
yeah.
A good ending. You want to know how I would have ended it, though?
Yes, I really do.
All right, so Carl. However it happens, Hershel's little sideshow gets Carl bitten. He dies.
Ooh.
And the last thing we see is, Lydia tells Negan what happened, and Negan ends up bashing Hershel Jr. to death.
Oh, my God. You should write comics, man. I love to write myself, but I would be honored to write comics with you, man. I think we should team up.
It'd be a good collaboration. Man, I mean, we might only churn out fan fiction, but
dude,
I think it'd be some dope
that
fan
would
fiction.
be freaking dope, man.
Just
died just like his father.
Yeah.
For very different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Like we see Negan dusting off a leather jacket, wrapping at bat and barbed wire again.
God, I don't even know. Yeah, and man. He's bringing Lucille out of her. Well, I mean, Lucille broke, but he's recreating Lucille. And
it just ends with a Hershel Jr. on his knees.
Oh my gosh! Would you have ended it just like that with all right? So I'm imagining the art, right? So you see, you see Hershel Jr. looking down, maybe tears coming from his eyes, and the next one you see Lucille and Negan's hand hanging down, and then maybe the next panel would be the leather jackets on his. You know what I'm saying? Would you have actually shown him dying? Or would you just leave it basically thinking what happens?
Yeah, I mean the better ending would just leave it like that. But I'd like to see him just get bashed, and how Glenn was like, Maggie, Hershel Jr. could just Mommy.
Oh my God, that is genius! Why did that happen?
And he's just done, and then Negan just gets that fire lit in him again, and he takes Maggie out and becomes the president. And,
I don't know about all that now. Dial it back a little. Dial it back a little bit. Dial it back a little bit.
Negan just takes over the world.
Or then Maggie does come and finish it. Because remember, she couldn't kill him when she had the chance, but now it comes around full circle. Once she hears, she has him brought in.
Oh, dude,
he's smiling. She kills him, and oh man, that would have been that is dope. I'm so proud of you. I know I'm the writer, and I always have these crazy ideas, but man, you really
these afternoon podcasts, man. My gears are turning a little bit more.
That is that man. I'm stunned right now. That was amazing.
That'd be
I'm
wild. Picturing
it in my head.
Yeah, I'm
with the art and everything. What do you think? Let us know in the comments section. That's a big thing. Let us know, how would you have ended this series? Do you like JP's idea? Dude. I am just I'm not even worthy right now. I want to give you the Wayne's World. I'm not worthy.
It'd be pretty wild.
That is a great idea. Tell me what you would have done different. How would you have ended it? Would you have kept it the same? Let us know. We're all fans of the same comic here. And we want to know, how would you have ended it? What are some things you would have tweaked? Maybe you would have kept the issue very similar, but you would have changed a few things like JP. So you would have kept things very similar, but that's just kind of how you would have ended it.
Yeah.
Man, I could hear the water leave the bottle, get in your mouth, and go down your throat.
Yeah, I'm also very thirsty at this time of the day.
Me too. Well, we've been out in the heat all day, and I drink all my water.
I've been eating fries and burgers and all kinds of crappy stuff, so... But yeah, man, all in all, though, I think, they gave it a nice little bookend, and we'll see if they squeeze anything else out of that cash cow. If there's a spinoff or a prequel or sequel or who knows what.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So before we wrap this up, because I really don't know if there's anything left to be said, we've got 2 ideas for The Walking Dead. 2 ideas to somewhat keep The Walking Dead alive, as far as just for those of us who would love to continue discussing it. And JP, you had two, right? We had a retrospective and then kind of all right, so give me an idea of what we were thinking.
Yeah, like you said, a retrospective. We could go back, start at the beginning, do it issue by issue or trade paper, however you want us to do it, and just go through The Walking Dead.
Like really, kind of like I wanted to do with Lost. Just start at the beginning and review it almost as if it would. I mean, we're not going to obviously be stupid and be like, I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah. But, kind of just go back from the beginning and kind of compare it. It'd be kind of fun to see it, knowing the things we know from the beginning.
Or, something else we could do is we could literally, like, every first Thursday of the month, review a non-existent new Walking Dead issue. Just like and figure out what we think would have happened. I don't know, man.
Wait, run that by me again.
Like review a non-existent Walking Dead issue. We just decide what would have happened in this month's issue, and just
basically we just pick it up and start writing it.
Yeah,
more or less.
Yeah. We're just like, so man, really love this issue of The Walking Dead. Can you believe Sheriff Kapoor, went head to head with Mercer? Blah 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 blah.
I think Mercer would win that one. Mercer was a badass. I just wish he would have been brought in earlier. I really liked Mercer. Mm-hmm. But what do you think? What do you want to hear from us? Do you want us to shut up about The Walking Dead? I don't think that's the case, because we had a lot of people like, hey, how are you not going to review the very last issue of The Walking Dead? So I don't know. What do you think? Do you want us to go back and then you had kind of like a retrospective idea similar to that, but like we would kind of look at it like, I don't know. Maybe that was just one idea. I don't know why I was thinking it was two.
Well, like I said, we could go in the past. We could delve into the future. We could do anything. We were talking about like we could fill in the spaces between the time jump, like what was Negan up in between issue 192 and 193.
Right.
So there's that as well.
Yeah, I
basically,
love it.
You want us to review what they've already done, or do you want us to just kind of like dip our toes into some fan fiction type of stuff?
Or do you just wish we would shut the hell up? Which if that's the case, why are you still here?
Yeah.
But yeah, so let us know. We would love to find a way to keep this alive, just for those of us. And I'm really, really hoping that one day we're going to have some kind of spinoff. I just hope it's not too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I hope it's the same creative team. Don't have like Brian Michael Bendis.
Dear God, please no.
Writing.
I don't want to take anything from that man. He's done some good work before, but I would not want him writing The Walking Dead, man. Oh my God, that would be bad. I would love Jeff Lemire to write The Walking Dead.
That could be interesting.
Jeff Lemire, man, I'm telling you, he's kind of like, which I know you're a very big fan. I mean, pretty much because of you that I read his stuff, but he's kind of like, for me, the way Donnie Cates is to you. Like, it's just a man can't do anything wrong.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of really great writers out there putting out some really good content. It's a great time to be a comic book reader.
I mean, even his stuff that isn't amazing is still better than most of the other good stuff that I'm reading, if that makes any sense. So I would love to see Jeff Lemire write The Walking Dead. But I wouldn't want Robert Kirkman to write it. But I'm saying if someone else was going to pick up the mantle, maybe Kirkman just is like, man, I'm done with it. I don't want to write it no more. But maybe somehow they convince him to give up the rights, whatever, then I think it would be dope to have Jeff Lemire write it.
Something that'd be cool for us to maybe review in the future, Crossed. Garth Ennis wrote this mini-series, like 7 or 8 issues. It's very zombie, post-apocalyptic, and with that, a lot of different writers did pick up after he
What's it called? Crossed?
Crossed, yeah.
How have I never heard of this?
Yeah, it came out like 8-ish, something like that. And after the first mini-series, or whatever you want to call limited series, a bunch of different writers picked up, and not with the same characters, but different characters in that same world.
And it's called Crossed.
Crossed.
And it was wrote by Garth Ennis?
Garth Ennis, yeah.
No kidding.
I think you'd enjoy that. It's pretty sick, man. It's pretty twisted. Because they're not The Walking Dead. They're just like infected and like total like hedonist barbarian, It's pretty disturbing.
Very interesting. I don't want the Spanish version. I'm glad that's available for those that need it, but I can't. I can't read Spanish.
Espanol?
No, not. I mean, I took a lot of it, but I
never took it. I took French, which
Cross 3D Volume 1 hardcover.
Yeah, I've got that. I never read it. I don't know if that's Garth Ennis though. I say Garth Ennis wrote like a 7 or 8 or 9.
Yeah, this is by David Lapham.
Yeah, he picked it up, and he did some really cool stuff with it too.
Very interesting. So I'll have to check that out, man. I need something to keep me going.
Yeah.
Which honestly, what's keeping me going right now is Jeff Lemire. I mean, it's Jeff Lemire, man. Let me tell you, Black Hammer. well, the Hammer of Justice, the Black Hammer, Justice League crossover. Did you read that yet?
Yeah, I've read it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I very much enjoyed it. I love the way the story was told.
Oh, yeah.
Also by Jeff Lemire. Ascender is awesome.
Yeah, now that I haven't read yet.
Also, Jeff Lemire didn't write it, but another title that's getting me by is Little Bird. I love that so much.
I got that. I haven't read it yet either, though.
Most of my favorites you'll find are Image titles, though. And what else by Jeff Lemire? Gideon Falls, one of my favorite comic series since I've gotten back into comics. It's been about 3 or 4 years now, and since I've gotten back into to really like reading a lot of comics, and I definitely think Gideon Falls is one of the best that I've read. Mm-hmm. Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman's getting really good. It kind of it was a little slow for a while, but it's good. So let us know what you're currently reading. What's gonna get you through, with the absence of The Walking Dead. Like, part of me is happy that my pull list is a little lighter, but then another part of me is sad that that's the comic I had to lose.
And yeah, for people who like only started reading The Walking Dead because of the TV show, and that's the only comic you've read, the only comic you like, there's a lot out there. So, don't just let that be the end of your comic book reading career.
Yeah, that's very true. I know a lot of people who don't really read comics, but I know a girl that does not read comics, but she was like, yeah, a girl I work with doesn't read comics, but she does read The Walking Dead. If you like that, I promise you, man, let the joy of comics take over. There are so many other great series out there. And I honestly, The Walking Dead's put out by Image. Image has some of my favorite titles out right now, or for the last couple of years. So, check out anything Jeff Lemire. I promise you, he's...
Yeah, Jeff Lemire, Brian K. Vaughan's doing a lot of cool stuff. Donnie Cates, like we said, lots of good stuff out there. So...
Let's see. So somebody just commented on our Trending Tuesday, a very interesting comment.
Oh, yeah?
Somehow we exposed our location.
Did we really?
Everyone is now Google mapping Blank Street, America on Google Maps. We did. We both did.
Yeah,
but
talking about that, yeah.
Yeah. I think you said it first, but...
I don't think I said that.
You did.
Street.
No, you did.
Because you brought up the Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Right, but you brought up the Drug Street. Oh, yeah, maybe he is talking about the Jimmy Kimmel thing. I was just talking about I thought he was talking about when you talked about the street where all the drugs are sold, and it just so happens to be like... I'm not saying the name, but something that sounds drug related. Man, we're terrible about this, about keeping. It don't matter if you want to come hang out, whatever.
Yeah, just keep our identity secret, because there's a lot of things I say on this podcast that could hurt me career wise.
Absolutely.
But if that's the way it happens, that's the way it happens. I'm going to keep it real with you. I have a sacred duty to this podcast to keep it real. And that's what I'm going to do. There's other podcasts out there that are very less than transparent. And that ain't me, baby.
And I wouldn't want you on here with me if you weren't.
No, man.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do have to fuss at you for certain things that you say, but it's all in good fun. I wouldn't want you on this podcast. I wouldn't want to do this podcast with anybody else that way, especially that wasn't as, And I wouldn't
want to do it. Like, if it was a podcast where we're just cut and dry, just reviewing stuff and that, I wouldn't even really want to do it. So,
right. Yeah, no, I would. If you got fired, I'd be like, dude, it's so worth it, though. Your work on the podcast
all
has been
the podcasts
phenomenal.
I love out there, man. People are just... It's real talk,
Right.
And
I think that's what people like. People like real talk.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
I'm up here with you, so let's step off of the soapbox. But that is going to wrap it up for our review. It's hard to believe that'll be the last Walking Dead comic we'll ever review, to our knowledge.
Unless, as we said, we just make it up as we go along, which would be a lot of fun.
I'm not against
people are
that.
into that, man. We'll just, issue 194. We'll review it, the first Thursday in August.
Can issue 194 be the whole Negan Glenn thing, though? That needs to happen.
I'd love that, man.
And then it could kind of focus on Negan.
So basically, we have to kill off Carl. That's not going to be an easy thing to do. But
well, the show made it seem easy enough.
Yeah. I promise it'll be better than that.
Well, so to Robert Kirkman's Skybound Image Comics, man, I know that you'll never hear this, but thank you for so many years of wonderful storytelling.
Job well done.
Great characters that I feel like are my old friends. You know what I mean? Just a wonderful, wonderful ride. I remember I got into The Walking Dead probably a little bit before the show started, because I was really into Lost, and Resident Evil has always been my favorite franchise. And then when I heard that a zombie show was coming to TV, I've always been a zombie fan, like George Romero's work, and again, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and 4 was okay, but I liked it back when they were survival horror. But I love this. So when I heard about it, I instantly looked it up, and this was before they had even started casting people, and they said it was called The Walking Dead. So I went online and ordered the first, actually the hardcover, I guess a hardcover, or maybe it was a paper. I have a few trade paperbacks, but I went back and got the whole collection in the hardcover too. But I got the first volume, and then from that moment on, I was addicted. So, probably, then the show came. So I did start reading it because of the show, but not after. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't watch the show. I didn't know there was that good of a zombie comic out there. I had bought some Resident Evil comics back in the day, and they were okay, but The Walking Dead just blew my mind. I was like, it's got to be good if they're making a show out of it.
I've got to thank our buddy Matt Crowder. It was like right after high school, he left the second trade paperback at my house. I read it, went in for more. By the time it had hit issue number 49, I was reading it month to month. Mm-hmm. And if not for our buddy Matt Crowder, who, by the way, you should check out wherever you download music and on YouTube as well.
I got into the comic issue by issue a little bit later than JP, because what I was doing was I was waiting, it was tedious and it sucked to do. But what I was doing, I love to read, I love to binge stuff.
Binge read, yeah.
So like what I would do for like the last 10 years, man, is I guess not quite 10 years. Oh yeah, right at 10 years. What I would do for 5-6 years is I would wait. I would have it on Amazon, like Volume 3 is coming out, which they had the compendiums, but I would get them by the hardcovers. Volume 3 is coming out. I would wait and have it pre-ordered, and as soon as it was ready, I'd click order, and I'd read it and wait a whole another freaking year just about for the next one. And, and then finally got fed up with that noise and started getting it issue by issue. But I still do go back and buy all the which is crazy to think the next hardcover I buy, I'll have the whole collection in hardcover.
Yeah.
But thank you for just a wonderful story, and I'm really not against bringing it back in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Don't leave me. But that's going to wrap it up once again, and thank you to everybody that's listened. I know that the last couple of issues we've had trouble getting them online because our work schedule, we work in radio and it's crazy. So. But I think we might have only missed one since we started. We've been podcasting issue by issue for about a year and a half, somewhere in that range. I think we did end up missing one issue that we never got around to, but that's because I had my daughter the day that we were going to do that. And then, of course, for the next week I was, out, so it just never got around to getting out. But thank you so much for listening to these podcasts, and let us know how we can keep it alive. I'm going to quit rambling, because I need to go home. Speaking of my daughter, I got to pick her up. But we'll catch you if you're a regular listener, and if you're a new listener, hopefully we'll catch you tomorrow for the last Random Rambling Wednesday, because it's going to become Woke Wednesday. And Random Ramblings will go into like a after-hours cocktail hour that we will do Patreon exclusive. So join us tomorrow and every day. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we are the Podcasting Dead.